Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for April 30th through May 3rd. Well, we're coming to the end of another month of 2021 in this crazy adventure of these times that we live in. What we're feeling this weekend is the Sun-Uranus conjunction, a major activation of the potential within you, your star power. So powerful with all of this Taurus energy. And Mercury and Venus are separating out. They're no longer so close, but they're telling us a story. As they're still in Taurus, Mercury and Venus are one by one coming up with Black Moon Lilith, and then a square with Jupiter over this next week and a half. So this weekend, we're feeling Mercury and come into both Mercury then Venus come into their conjunctions with Black Moon Lilith. Now Black Moon Lilith is coming into sextile with Neptune. So this is the combination of this astrology, yet again, right? It's like you can't take these elements separate from each other. There's very powerful messages here. Mercury and Venus. Mercury, our mind, our conception, our reality. Venus, our feminine side, our values and our desires in life, what we love and what makes us feel good. Now, this is talking to, with these planets coming up, in the personal planets coming up to Black Moon Lilith in Taurus, is speaking to the shame that's been associated with the feminine that's kept us from our higher level abilities, our intuitive abilities. So the definition of a supernova soul, and this is an umbrella term for all advanced souls, and this is, the definition is that as a soul, you've had prior experiences before coming to this earth evolution, in that you've already gone through spiritual ascension. And so you've already had this intuitive faculties. And this is a very interesting thing that's playing out here for us, because this Black Moon Lilith activation and Uranus Sun activation, and then these planets coming into square with Jupiter and Aquarius. Now, so Black Moon Lilith represents the deepest, darkest, shameful corners of our psyche, and we got to clean that up, and in order to get into this Aquarian age, right? But what is this really about? Because Mercury and Venus, having been so close together, is this activation of the feminine mind. What does that mean? Intuitive thinking. And we've been in a long-term agenda over thousands of years with the control energies in this Earth experience that have sought to, with deliberate agendas over long periods of time, with the goal of disconnecting us through fear and trauma from our higher level intuitive abilities. This whole world has been directly, the agenda of it has been directly working against who you really are. Because you've already experienced this higher level intuitive ability. That higher level intuitive ability, which is the truth of who you are, but you've been disconnected from, that's how we get out of the trap of the lower matrix, right? We know we're in a movie, and we're the ones projecting it. So how do we change that script, And this is saying, like, you got to get out of the rubble of the past, because the Black Moon Lilith Taurus energy is taking us right to Atlantean time, where this whole thing started, where the control energies infiltrated the higher level organizations on the planet and began this agenda to separate us from our power, specifically you supernova advanced souls. And so this catastrophe energy, it's not just a catastrophe, it's the catastrophe was associated with your higher level intuitive abilities, right? So now when you go anywhere near your higher level intuitive abilities that you didn't know you had, there's fear and trauma and shame. And for the advanced soul, there's a lot of energy around responsibility to the earth, Supernova souls were there at the beginning of the conception of Earth and this whole beautiful potential. And for thousands of years, we got all derailed, held back in this evolution. And now nothing can stop what's coming. Nothing can stop this spiritual ascension. We are at the precipice, and this astrology is speaking everything to it. So it's like the world is waiting for supernova souls to wake up to who they really are. And that's exactly this astrology this weekend, because Sun, Uranus, and now Uranus has an energy of a higher vibrational frequency, like an electricity, because it was discovered at the time of electricity. And so it's speaking to future technology, ancient technology, our connection with our higher self, this intuitive ability. And so it's awakening. The awakener, it's a vibrational awakening. And then with the sun in Taurus, with this whole other story of what's going on, it's kind of like, like good luck trying to pretend you're not that vibrational being. It's like happening, this activation. And there's an energy here of coming face to face, because what's happening is that Mercury and Venus taking their turns now with Black Moon Lilith sextile Neptune in Pisces. So the delusions that have kept us in the past age, but then activating that higher visionary ability, because we know that's how we get out of the trap. And then they're going to come into square. Mercury comes into square on Monday with Jupiter. So then Venus will come into square later in the week, next week. But so we've got this dance of the planets, telling us these deep mysteries here, because Jupiter's coming to the end degrees of Aquarius, going to move into Pisces this month, cruising through Aquarius. And that's going to be a very interesting journey as Jupiter goes into Pisces for a few degrees and then retrogrades back into Aquarius as we expand into this Aquarian age. Now, these squares then are saying, what is keeping us from expanding into this new energy? And in square with Mercury and Venus, with Black Moon Lilith, just having gone over Black Moon Lilith, it's the shame, which is associated with the fear and trauma programming that goes all the way back to Atlantean time. And we got to get ourselves out of the rubble. And, this is our soul retrieval, putting ourselves back together, putting our pieces back together, incarnating our bigger spiritual self. And that's everything this astrology is about. So it's saying that our disconnection from our higher intuitive ability, and disconnection from our bigger spiritual truth and our soul memory of who we really are and our bigger experiences that we've already had in other dimensional frequencies, that is what's stuck under the rubble of the past and the shame associated with it, right? So we've been programmed deep in our psyche to associate this critical thinking, because we talk about the intuitive thinking, but it's not just that. It's not just the feminine intuitive side. It's our ability to use both brains together. And that's what started as this, part of the long-term agenda to disconnect us, is this deliberate program to disconnect our ability to have intuitive thinking and critical thinking, or intellectual thinking, which is critical thinking. And isn't this what's going on in the world right now? Can we just think through common sense? We can gather up all these scientific studies that are going to say that masks don't work, and there's the facts, but we could also just use our brains, and we could think this through and be like, wait a minute. They wear hazmat suits in the lab. I'm not sure this mask is really protecting us. And it didn't affect the level of, it's like just logical common sense is so difficult these days. And this is the mind control program. And you have this prior experience. You've already gone through mind control programs and gotten yourself out. You've kept that silver cord. You've kept this connection to your soul. You are so incredibly valuable, and Earth could not evolve right now without you. Humanity could not evolve without you. And here you've been hidden under the rubble of shame around your intuitive abilities. So April showers bring May flowers, right? And this is exactly what this astrology is saying. It's time to go supernova and flower into your potential. And I know that that doesn't make any sense. You know, it's like that roadmap where we're being asked to go on a journey, but we don't have the map and we got to figure it out as we go turn by turn. And maybe that's this. Maybe this is our critical intuitive thinking coming back, where we can finally, you know, so the shame has kept us in the delusions, is the sextile with Black Moon Lilith and Neptune. And so by clearing and healing that shame, we can come back out of delusion. And, you know, what you have that's, you know, just kind of an example of how valuable these gifts are, your abundance, as an advanced spiritual being, is this inner discretion, this ability to take it into your heart and feel if it's true or not, you know. And this has been a problem because we have been so deluded and so programmed. But start practicing this more actively, you know, your inner knowing. And this is what, because we're being fed so many lies upon lies upon lies, right? And that's what happens in manipulative, abusive relationships. They keep you confused, so you stop trying to even figure it out. And when you're confused, it's a good sign you're being manipulated. So manipulation is, again, the same frickin' agenda program to disconnect us from our true power. So this ability to discern and to feel the truth in your heart is so profound. And that's one of the gifts of this time, because we can see those souls being shown to us really clearly who's clinging to the fear, and that is a different energy, you know. And so we're saying, oh, that's, yeah, no, I'm going to take this information, whatever, you know, comes my way, and I'm going to take it into my heart. I'm going to feel into the truth of it. Now, the thing is that the truth has gotten so scary. It's scarier than fiction, right? And so people don't want to know the truth. This is what the pain is right now. Are you feeling, because supernova souls have a tendency, because you were here from the beginning of the vision of Earth, and then you got caught under the rubble and blamed yourself in the programming and all that. We're having this energy of, you know, this is it's just such a great example of what we're trying to do here as advanced souls, to come into this sense of inner knowing again. And, but, you know, you're so, part of your inner knowing and part of who you are as an advanced soul is sensitive to collective energies. And you've been recycling your family's emotions, trying to process and cleanse and heal and take on all of this burden of the people around you. You don't even know you're doing it. This is part of the empathy and the advanced soul energy. And if you can, right now, what's helpful is to understand there's this huge psychic pain going on because of this I can't look at the truth thing. Now, if you can't look at the truth and you don't want to know the deeper truths, because they're very scary, right? I don't want to know them, you know. But then you have to see that there's this disconnect. It's almost like it's like exactly furthering the agenda to keep humanity disconnected from their source and truth, this manipulation and this lies and this gaslighting. And but if you are aware and you can sense, this is what a lot of supernova souls are feeling right now and not understanding what this is. And it's collective cognitive dissonance, because you can be in cognitive dissonance and la, la, la land all you want, right? But the separation from reality is getting further and further. And the human psyche is aware of this, even if they don't know they're aware, you know, even if they're putting on their blinders, there's this deep feeling that things are just not right. And the ground under our feet can't hold us because it's based on lies. So there's a very uncomfortable place that supernova souls are finding themselves in, this you being closer to truth and the disconnect in the people around you. but just being aware of the psychic pain that humanity is going through right now, because see, this is the whole thing. We're in a society, part of the lies upon lies upon lies and manipulation is suppression, 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 grief and trauma unresolved over many lifetimes. This is the huge problem most supernova souls are dealing with in humanity in general. And so when the people around you, when you're in your emotional truth and authenticity and trying to heal and grow and be present in this reality as a human, aware human, then you're moving your emotional energy. But you have a tendency to subconsciously take on the emotional energies of people around you that are not willing to face how they feel, right? There's suppression. And this is getting heavier and heavier. You might find yourself, you're fine, and then all of a sudden you're under a mountain. You're back in the rubble of that Atlantean time catastrophe, and it's all your fault. And somehow you got to figure out a way to get out. And so it's just really helpful right now to understand this heaviness, and it's going to get heavier, right? Until we have that breaking point where people are shown more truth in this world that it's undeniable, in your face, shocking truth, right? Like that's inevitable. However it plays out and however long it takes, that's what we're doing. But it's interesting because I'm seeing a metaphorical connection here, which maybe this is how we can use this energy, supernova souls, is that as the cognitive dissonance and this deep uncomfortable feeling gets more and more intense, it's very similar to the place that supernova souls go. And this, this cycle of life, this cycle of experience of, going into that chrysalis cocoon and not knowing if you're going to live or die, not knowing who you are, not knowing what the point is, and that's just before, that's in the wilderness when you're facing the temptation. The temptation right now is like, please just come and get a jab with us and just forget about all this stuff and it'll all be okay. Just, it's like, no, can I just have my own thoughts? Can I have my own ideas? Can I think for myself? We are having a huge play out of every dark agenda on the earth that has ultimately ended in genocide. And that's ultimately what's trying to happen on the planet. And you are holding the light, keeping it from being able to happen. So be easy on yourself. No, it's like such an activating time, and there's going to be moments of this expansiveness outside of the lower matrix, outside of the firmament of our trap here. But then there's that deep, dark, something isn't right. And just if you know that you're tapping into the collective energy, and then being aware that as this shift happens, of more truth coming out to the mainstream, they'll be feeling their suppressed feelings. And then you're going to have more permission to step right out of that whole shame body and get into your full potential, and lighten your load and be like, okay, humanity, here you go. Face the music. And now we're going to build the new. And so it's just understanding that this is where we are at this precipice, and that the collective energy can be incredibly oppressive, but it's exactly resonant with the feeling just before you break through. So this is the energy here. It's that almost like the whole world is watching. The US doesn't seem to be aware. Most people, like a lot of people, are not even aware that the whole world is watching the US. The election isn't over, actually, right? Like there's a bunch of discrepancies on all levels of reality that we're not facing, right? But the whole world is watching, waiting, for supernovas to go supernova, to come into this power, back into your intuitive power and your intuitive knowing. And it's okay that you don't know what that looks like or what that is. You have a sense within you that there's something more, something bigger that wants to express something that can't fit in this monkey suit. Except our monkey suit is changing into vibrational frequency, and then we can, And this is exactly the Taurus energy. It's like transforming the revolution with Uranus in Taurus is about the revolution of our connection to physicality, form. And, maybe starting to live by this truth that it's not actually physical, but the limitations of the physical. And that's exactly what's made life for you so hard here, because you're so much bigger. And it's like, well, I got to figure it out what it looks like, and then I can go supernova. And it's like, no, we don't have the roadmap, but you have this soul memory, and it's going to grow strong. It's like the collective's cognitive dissonance going stronger and stronger, deep, uncomfortable feelings, and your awareness of this bigger part of you growing stronger and stronger. And the Mayflowers that the world is waiting for and looking upon is these supernova souls expanding out beyond the confines of what we've told was okay. Maybe that's why we need all this oppression right now. Humanity needs all this control energy. They don't even see. They're just buying it up. Give me the news feed, give me the bullshit. Just they're not even seeing this domination and control energy. And the reason this is part of why it's so hard for you as an advanced soul, because you've already had experiences of masking and silencing, and what's happening in this. Basically, we're a part of a satanic ritual abuse, a satanic ritual, and you've already experienced that in other dimensional frequencies, or maybe in other lifetimes here in Earth. And now you have your mind back, and you're never going to give it up. Although there is that feeling like, oh, can I just, maybe I want the blue pill, like put me back to sleep, what in the F? And it's like, no, this is your time. This is your time for awakening into who you are, which is beyond what you can imagine. Just like this Aquarian golden age we're moving into. And, that picture that came through the last activation, that Scorpio full moon activation of this flowering, representing who you are in these higher intuitive faculties, which is also your light body, your ability to vision and create, recognize yourself as a co-creator, and come into those faculties as we build our new world. So this is so incredibly, just incredibly potent time. And this flowering is you, as you're ready, gradually opening into who you are. And I guess the messages are like, okay, along with that comes this massive, attack or glom energy of the collective consciousness attacking you for being in your truth, right? And the old stories playing out. But then there's also this hidden seed potential that's starting to, shake within you. And it's like that seed, that butterfly before in the chrysalis, before it's a butterfly, totally doesn't know it's a butterfly, doesn't know it has wings, but you have a sense, and you've persevered through all of this and held on to your mind and to your psyche and to that silver cord to source. And you need to celebrate that and be there. But so the messages are like, this Venus Mercury is like, you don't get to, it's a present within you. It's a presence and a present, and it's wrapped up and hidden in the bud of the flower, So if you're waiting to know what it looks like before you're going to take that leap, it's never going to happen. So we got this thing into the unknown. We got this pressure building from the psychic pain of humanity that and maybe that psychic pain is what allows us to be like, okay, humanity, you guys have that. Because I went down to the depths with you. So I fully understand. I went down to the gutter. I incarnated into the darkest times, and experienced the trauma of the Piscean age against the light. And enough of that, because I'm much too precious. This present that you are, this gift that you are, is so precious. And so maybe this uncomfortable collective psychic distortion is getting so strong, so that this self-worth of the advanced souls, like, I will no longer allow this precious spiritual gift that you've worked for over many lifetimes and whole evolutions, but this is your God gift. This is your sacred spiritual self. And this line in the sand of where we're at, and you know, the whole evolution and Aquarian age and supernova souls going supernova soul, the line in the sand right here is this Black Moon Lilith in Taurus, you know? And so everything hinges on our ability to finally demand and command the respect that is required for this God consciousness, right? And instead of being like, oh, I'm going to accommodate to this and make it work and, you know, take on the garbage and all that. And it's like, nope, I'm going to go be with this Buddha self. I'm going to go to my temple. I'm going to be here. And all that comes near is going to respect and honor this presence, as am I. I mean, this is you bowing down to, in massive revelatory gratitude to this spiritual power that is you, you know, in awe. It's not, see, in the, you could say, oh, like you think you're better than other people and that's ego and all this stuff. And it's like, this is the higher ego. This is the big I, and it, profound power, and you're like bowing down to who you really are, you know, in this incredible, humbled, profound gratitude. And so we'll see what May brings, right? But for this next week and a half or so, what we're it's like Venus, Mercury, Black Moon, Lilith, uncovering those higher intuitive abilities from the rubble of the programming of thousands of years of programming, and stepping back into that intuitive power that we didn't even know we had, and we don't even know what it looks like. And that square with Jupiter, these squares with Jupiter saying, okay, you're at the end. What's keeping you from, okay, so the expansion into the Aquarian age we're all waiting for is you flowering into your full potential, supernova. And what's keeping you? And it comes right back to this distortion. You know, keep it in the dark, keep it in the shame. And this is our suppression, right? And then, you know, how can you ever heal it if you don't look at it and express it? And that's what we've been doing this whole year of 2021 with this Black Moon Lilith Taurus activation. And this is a crux of it. And Jupiter at the end degrees of Aquarius is saying, you cannot go any further in this new energy and carry that bullshit shame. Because look at that bullshit shame from being persecuted as a healer, a light worker, or an intelligent soul with a voice and a message through your past lives, right? Put that next to this incredibly profound gratitude that you, towards this spiritual power that you get to host in your body. You know, you can't put those together. They don't mix. It's oil and water, and we got to separate this out, you know? So be in the light of the abundance of your flowering and the process of your flowering. Put your ego aside, because you don't get to know, you know, what it looks like and what it means. You know, recognize where you're taking on the cognitive dissonance and psychic pain of humanity, and begin to give yourself permission to be in that full flowering of your potential. And we're doing it together. A great thing that's been coming through messages like, if you're having trouble feeling worthy of your own spiritual abundance and feeling that stuckness come up, you know, because it's all being revealed, everything that's in the way, right, of this blooming. Picture and imagine your soul brothers and sisters receiving their abundance, and celebrate that and feel into it, and be so happy for them and excited and in awe. Right? This is what we're doing for each other, is reflecting back the truth of who we really are, except for that up till now, most supernova souls have been surrounded by people who are not. And their reflection back to you is, you're weird. What are you're bothering me. Like your light is shining up my shadows. And so you're making me feel shadowy, and I don't want to feel it. I don't want to feel that. And I don't want to be around that your clarity and your healing and your desire to move energy in a positive way. See how we're coming up against all this suppression. And this is our medical system. It's all been based on suppression of the symptoms. The symptoms are an expression of our life force trying to come back into equilibrium, right? So the long-term, this is interesting, right? Because the long-term agenda from Atlantean time to keep us under the rubble of shame, long-term agenda to get us to disconnect from the power we have within us to heal ourselves through suppression. And so a big part of all of this, and this is Mars and Cancer, is this unresolved grief. Humanity is stuck under the rubble, SuperNova Souls stuck under the rubble because of this repression of unresolved grief, right? And it's like, you can feel that, say, the Great Depression and the effect in the DNA in the generations after that, right? And it's like we're all just kind of holding on for dear life. And then now we're realizing that what we're holding on to isn't actually physical. And we don't get to take it with us. So who are we? You know? So you're having a spiritual ego death into your bigger spiritual self, while humanity is having a lower ego death of like excruciatingly painful realization that everything they've invested in for lifetimes doesn't have any substance. And here we have the revolution of this time. What is the substance? What is the wealth? And we come right back full circle to your higher intuitive abilities. And are you ready to present this to the world? Are you ready to hold sacred and honor so that you can present and be present with the truth of who you are? And so a great uncovering and a powerful combination, again, of the square energy and pressuring us to make those changes. And then this sextile energy, which is like, come on, we've got creative solutions. Now's the time. Now you can make the leap. This plasma, this energy can hold you and carry you, you know? And that's what you're here to demonstrate as SuperNova Soul on the cutting edge of spiritual ascension. So we're all getting pushed to the edge, and that's a good thing. And there's incredibly uncomfortable times, and then this expansive, like, wow, you know, massive spiritual revelatory gratitude. So have a wonderful weekend, and just be present with this flower within you that you didn't maybe know you had, and you don't know what that means or looks like, but it's ready to bloom. Once you can support the ground, right, with the nutrition, the peace, the honoring of who you are, so that that can flower and grow. May flowers. So flowering into full potential. And I've long had this kind of picture and message of like, if just one supernova soul went full supernova, you know, it'd be a game changer. And what happens when we all go together, right? So we'll see. So have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you soon on the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.